The Chicago skyline sparkled through the restaurant's floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a warm glow over our table. I'd spent weeks planning this night, our 6th wedding anniversary, down to the last detail: crisp white linens, a bottle of Emily's favorite Pinot Noir, and a view of Lake Michigan that always made her smile. At 35, I prided myself on being a husband who showed up. Always had. Tonight I'd gone all out, slipping a velvet box with a $1,200 0-cent sapphire pendant into my jacket pocket, a gift I knew she'd been eyeing at Tiffany's. Emily, my stunning 32-year-old wife, looked radiant in her emerald dress, her blonde hair catching the candlelight. But as we sat across from each other, something felt off. Her usual warmth, the way her hazel eyes locked onto mine with that playful spark, was gone. Instead, she seemed distant, her gaze darting around the room like she was searching for something. Or someone. I tried to keep things light, asking about her day at the school where she taught 3rd grade. "You know, just the usual chaos," she said with a half-smile, twirling her wine glass. "Kids driving me nuts." Her voice lacked its usual energy, and I felt a knot form in my stomach. Normally, we'd be laughing, reminiscing about our honeymoon in Paris or planning our next adventure. Tonight, she was somewhere else. I reached for her hand, hoping to pull her back to me. "Everything okay, Em?" I asked, my thumb brushing over her wedding ring. She nodded, too quickly, her eyes avoiding mine, and that knot tightened. By the time our main course, her favorite, seared scallops, arrived, the tension was unbearable. I'd spent nearly $1,000 on this night, not counting the pendant, hoping to rekindle the spark we'd had when we first married. We'd been through so much together. Late nights, working to pay off our cozy Lincoln Park house, dreaming of the day we'd fill it with kids. I thought we were on the same page, finally stable enough to start that family. But Emily's fidgeting, the way she barely touched her food, told me something was coming. I set my fork down, my heart starting to race. "Em, what's going on? You're acting weird." She took a deep breath, her fingers tightening around her napkin. "James, there's something I've been thinking about for a while," she said, her voice trembling but deliberate. "I think it's time we talked about it." My mind spun. Was she ready to have a baby? We'd agreed to wait until my career as a financial analyst was more secure, and with my recent bonus, we were there. I leaned forward, a hopeful smile tugging at my lips. "Okay, lay it on me," I said, trying to keep my tone light despite the unease creeping up my spine. Her next words hit me like a punch to the gut. "I want to explore relationships outside our marriage." The restaurant's chatter faded, the clink of glasses and laughter drowned out by the roaring in my ears. I froze, my wine glass halfway to my lips. "What?" I managed, my voice low, barely containing the shock. Emily's eyes flicked down, then back up, but she wouldn't meet my gaze. "I need to find myself, James," she said, her voice softer now, almost pleading. "I feel stuck. Like I don't know who I am outside of us. I think this will make me a better wife in the long run. Just a few months, then I'll be all yours again." My face burned, a mix of disbelief and anger surging through me. "You're saying you want to date other men?" I demanded, my voice louder than I intended. A couple at the next table glanced over, but I didn't care. "And you expect me to just sit here and nod while you, what, sleep with them?" Emily flinched, her cheeks flushing. "James, please, keep your voice down," she hissed, leaning across the table. "It's not like that. I love you. You're my soulmate. I just need to feel alive again, to feel wanted." "Wanted?" I snapped, my hands clenching into fists under the table. "Everything I do is for you. I bust my ass at work. I planned this whole damn night. I bought you that necklace you've been hinting at for months." I gestured to the velvet box, still tucked in my jacket, now feeling like a lead weight. "And now you're telling me it's not enough? That you need other men to feel alive?" My voice cracked, betraying the hurt beneath my anger. Emily reached for my hand, but I pulled back, the sting of her words cutting deeper than I could have imagined. "James, I'm not leaving you," she insisted, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I see us growing old together, starting a family, but right now I'm missing something. I need to explore this part of me. Please, Try to understand. Understand? The word echoed in my head like a bad joke. How could I understand my wife wanting to betray our vows? We'd promised to love, honor, and cherish each other, and now she was tossing that aside like it meant nothing. The pendant in my pocket felt like a cruel reminder of my naivety, thinking a grand gesture could fix whatever was broken in her. The room spun, the candlelight blurring as my pulse hammered in my temples. "You're talking about having an affair, Emily," I said, my voice shaking with a mix of rage and heartbreak. "And you think I'll just agree to it? Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you?" Her eyes widened and she glanced around, clearly embarrassed by the attention we were drawing. "Don't make a scene," she whispered. But I could tell she'd chosen this crowded restaurant on purpose, banking on my restraint in public. She'd set me up, and I'd walked right into it. "My Emily," I pressed, leaning forward, desperate for answers. "Why other men? What does find yourself even mean? Are you saying I'm not enough?" My voice broke, and I hated how vulnerable it made me sound. She bit her lip, her expression softening but resolute. "It's not about you not being enough," she said. I don't feel like the woman I used to be. I need to know I'm still desirable, that I can be more than just your wife." Her words were meant to reassure, but they felt like a knife twisting in my chest. Desirable? I'd spent 6 years showing her how much I adored her, and now it was like I didn't exist. I couldn't take it anymore. The noise of the restaurant, the weight of her betrayal, it was suffocating. I stood, tossing my napkin onto the table with a deliberate calm I didn't feel. "This is insane, Emily," I said, my voice low but firm. "You want to throw away our marriage for some fantasy? And you think I'll just wait for you? Not a chance." I drained my wine in one gulp, the bitter taste mirroring my mood, and set the glass down with a clink. "James, where are you going?" she called as I turned toward the exit. "I don't know," I shot back without looking at her. "But you might want to take a cab home." I pushed through the restaurant doors, the cold Chicago air hitting me like a slap. My car was parked a block away, and as I slid into the driver's seat, my hands shook on the wheel. I drove aimlessly, the city lights blurring through the tears I hadn't realized were falling. Was this really happening? Was the woman I loved, the one I'd built a life with, ready to toss it all for strangers? The pendant in my pocket felt like a mockery now, a symbol of a love she didn't seem to want anymore. As I sped through the night, one thing was clear. Our marriage, our future, would never be the same. The Chicago skyline faded into a blur as I drove through the night, my hands gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. Emily's words echoed in my head. I need to explore relationships outside our marriage. Each syllable felt like a fresh wound slicing through 6 years of love, trust, and promises. I didn't know where I was going, just that I needed to escape the suffocating weight of her betrayal. By dawn, I woke up cramped in my car, parked in an empty lot near the lake, my neck stiff and my head pounding like a jackhammer. The cold light of morning did nothing to dull the pain. I stumbled out, stretched, and found a nearby diner, the kind with sticky counters and coffee that tasted like regret. As I nursed a mug of black coffee, my mind churned. Emily's request wasn't just a whim, it was a line in the sand, and I had to decide where I stood. One thing was clear. I couldn't let her walk all over our marriage. I loved her, God knows I did, but this was a deal breaker. I drove home, the weight of the night settling into my bones. When I pulled into our Lincoln Park driveway, Emily was waiting on the porch, her arms crossed, her face pale with worry. "James, where were you?" she cried, rushing toward me as I stepped out of the car. "I was so scared. I thought you'd crashed or worse." Her voice trembled, and for a split second I saw the woman I married, the one who'd laugh at my bad jokes and curl up next to me on the couch. But that image shattered as I remembered her words from last night. I sidestepped her attempt at a hug, my jaw tight. "I needed space, Emily," I said, my voice cold. "We need to talk about this exploring yourself nonsense. I'm not doing this here on the lawn. Let's go inside." She followed me into the house, her footsteps hesitant. I headed straight for the bedroom, peeling off the suit I'd worn all night. The mirror reflected a man I barely recognized. eyes bloodshot, face drawn. I took a long, scalding shower, letting the water drown out the chaos in my head. Part of me wanted to believe this was a phase, that Emily was just confused, maybe influenced by her friend Lauren, that 36-year-old divorced teacher who always seemed to have a new guy on her arm. But deep down, I knew better. This wasn't a breakdown. It was a choice. As I toweled off, I rehearsed what I needed to say, each word sharpening my resolve. I loved Emily, but I wouldn't be her doormat. Dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, I found Emily in the kitchen, sitting at the island with a mug of tea. Her eyes tracked me, nervous but defiant. I grabbed a coffee, sat across from her, and took a deep breath. "All right, Emily," I said, keeping my tone steady despite the storm inside. "Explain it again. Why do you want to pursue relationships outside our marriage?" She shifted, her fingers twisting the mug's handle. "James, I need to feel validated," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I don't feel like my needs are being met. I want to explore who I am, to find fulfillment on my own. It's not about leaving you. I love you. I want to stay here with you, but I need the freedom to figure this out." I stared at her, my heart sinking. "So, you're saying you're not sure what you need and you think sleeping with other men will fix that?" I asked, my voice sharp. "Are you stepping away from us to find yourself?" She shook her head quickly. "No, I'm not leaving. I'll stay here, in our home. I just need space to set my own schedule, do things at my own pace." I leaned back, my mind racing. "When, Emily? When do you plan to start this exploration?" She hesitated, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. "I don't know. Soon. Maybe any time now." Her vagueness fueled my anger. "I don't agree with this, Emily," I said, my voice rising despite my effort to stay calm. "When we got married, we vowed to be partners, lovers, for life. Now you want other lovers? It feels like you're checking out of our marriage." She frowned, her voice tinged with frustration. "It's not like that, James. I feel like something's been missing for years. We're so focused on work, on this house. I don't feel appreciated like I did when we met." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Appreciated?" I shot back, my hands slamming the counter. "Everything I do is for you. I've been killing myself to build the life we dreamed of. We're almost done paying off this house, for Christ's sake." The air between us crackled with tension. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to focus on the core issue. "Are you planning to be intimate with other men?" I asked, my voice low but trembling. She looked away, her silence deafening. "I don't know," she finally said. "If it feels right, with the right person, maybe." My blood boiled. "So, you're considering infidelity?" I said, unable to hide my disbelief. "It's not infidelity if you know about it," she replied calmly, as if that made it okay. I gripped my coffee mug, wishing it was whiskey, and forced myself to stay composed. "Let me get this straight," I said, my voice cutting through the silence. "You want to meet other men, date them, maybe sleep with them, and still live here with me? What about us? Are we supposed to act like nothing's changed? Are we still intimate while you're out exploring?" Her eyes pleaded for understanding. "Of course, James. We're a family. I love you deeply. This is just something I need for myself." I shook my head, bitterness creeping into my voice. "How often, Emily? Every weekend? Every night? How far are you taking this?" She sighed, frustrated. "I haven't decided yet. Why are you so focused on the details?" "Because I need to know what my life looks like while you're out with your new partners," I snapped, the word dripping with venom. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "Have you thought about what this will do to our marriage? Have you considered my feelings at all?" She nodded but didn't answer, her silence confirming what I feared. She hadn't. Then she said the words that changed everything. "If you love me, you'll let me do this." I leaned forward, my eyes locked on hers. "If you love me, Emily, you won't go through with this. This is my line in the sand. Infidelity, even with a heads up, is a marriage ender." I stood, my decision made. "Here's the deal, and it's non-negotiable," I said, my voice firm. "If you want to see other men, you move out. I won't share this house, or you, while you're dating and sleeping with others. Find somewhere else to stay. Maybe with Lauren, since she's got you convinced this is a good idea." Emily's face fell, her eyes wide. "Where am I supposed to go?" she asked, her voice small. "Figure it out," I said. "Lauren's divorced, lives alone. Ask her. Or get a short-term rental. But you're not doing this here." I turned and walked to the bedroom, my heart heavy but resolute. Emily sat frozen, maybe realizing for the first time that I wasn't bluffing. This wasn't the marriage I'd signed up for, and I wasn't going to let her rewrite the rules. The echo of Emily's silence lingered in the kitchen long after she'd packed a suitcase and left for Lauren's apartment. Her departure felt like a death, the end of the life we'd built in our Lincoln Park home, the one I thought we'd fill with kids and laughter. At 35, I was staring down a future I hadn't planned for, alone in a house that felt too big, too quiet. I changed the locks that same day, the metallic clank of the new deadbolt a grim reminder of the line I'd drawn. Emily had chosen her path, and I had to find mine. The days that followed were a blur of work, sleepless nights, and a gnawing ache in my chest. I loved her, God, I still did, but her betrayal had cracked something fundamental in me. I couldn't just sit here drowning in what-ifs. I needed to move, to do something, anything, to keep from falling apart. I started at the gym, pounding the treadmill until my legs burned, trying to outrun the image of Emily with other men. But the pain followed me, a shadow I couldn't shake. One evening, scrolling through my phone to distract myself, I stumbled across a local hiking group on Meetup. They met twice a week, trekking the trails around Lake Michigan. I'd always loved the outdoors, and Emily and I used to hike together before life got too busy. Maybe this could be a way to reclaim a piece of myself. The first hike was awkward. I was the new guy, out of place among strangers. But the crisp air and steady rhythm of my steps felt like a lifeline. That's where I met Sarah, a 33-year-old pediatric nurse with warm brown eyes and a laugh that cut through my fog. She was tall, with a runner's build, and a small scar on her chin from a biking mishap. "You look like you're carrying the world on your shoulders," she said on our second hike, her tone light but kind. I managed a weak smile, not ready to spill my guts, but her easy warmth stayed with me. Meanwhile, Emily's life was spiraling in a different direction. Through mutual friends, I heard she was spending most nights out with Lauren, hitting bars and clubs downtown. Lauren, that 36-year-old divorced teacher who'd been caught cheating on her own husband, seemed to be Emily's guide into this new world. I pictured them laughing over cocktails, Emily flirting with strangers while I sat alone in our half-empty house. The thought made my stomach churn, but I refused to call her. She'd made her choice and I wasn't going to beg. Still, the silence from her was deafening. She sent one text a week after moving out, asking me to forward her mail, but nothing else. No apology, no hint of regret. It was like I'd ceased to exist. Sarah became my anchor without even trying. Our hiking group started grabbing beers after treks, and she'd sit next to me sharing stories about her work at the hospital or her disastrous attempts at baking. "Burned a whole tray of cookies last week," she admitted one night, her eyes crinkling with laughter. The smoke alarm was not impressed. I found myself laughing, really laughing, for the first time in weeks. One Saturday, I worked up the nerve to ask her out, just a casual kayaking trip on Lake Michigan, followed by dinner. To my surprise, she said yes. We spent the day paddling under a clear sky, the water sparkling around us. Over tacos at a cozy taqueria, she asked about my life, and I gave her the short version. Married, blindsided, separated. She listened without judgment, her hand brushing mine when I trailed off. "You deserve better than that, James," she said softly, and for the first time, I believed it might be true. While I was finding my footing, Emily was diving deeper into her exploration. A coworker of hers, who'd always been friendly with us both, let slip that Emily had been seen with a guy at a club, a married coworker from her school, no less. The news hit like a sucker punch. I'd suspected she was acting on her plan, but hearing it confirmed was different. Worse, I learned she'd taken a trip to Miami during a school break, posting sun-soaked selfies with this guy, their arms around each other like they were on some romantic getaway. My mind raced with images I didn't want to see. Emily laughing with him, sharing a bed, living the life she claimed would make her a better wife. Her mother called me one night, her voice thick with worry. "James, what's going on? Emily's in Miami with some man. Is she leaving you?" I swallowed hard, keeping my tone even. "She wants an open marriage, Mrs. Carter. I told her no and she moved out." There was a long pause before she whispered, "I'm so sorry, James. I'll talk to her." But I knew Emily was too far gone to listen. Back in Chicago, my hikes with Sarah turned into coffee dates, then movie nights. She was nothing like Emily, where Emily was impulsive. Sarah was steady, her compassion for her patients spilling into every conversation. One evening as we walked along the lakefront, she slipped her hand into mine, and I didn't pull away. It felt like a betrayal at first, like I was cheating on the ghost of my marriage. But Sarah's presence was a reminder that I was still here, still alive. I started noticing things again. The way the city lights danced on the water, the smell of fall leaves on our hikes. I'd lost 10 pounds from stress and exercise, but I was stronger, clearer-headed. Sarah was part of that, but so was my refusal to let Emily's choices define me. Emily, on the other hand, seemed to be unraveling. Her social media, which I checked in moments of weakness, was full of party photos. Her and Lauren with guys I didn't recognize, all smiles and shots. But there was something hollow in her eyes, a desperation I hadn't seen before. Friends whispered that her colleagues were starting to talk, that parents at her school were side-eyeing her behavior. I wanted to feel vindicated, but mostly I felt sad. This wasn't the Emily I'd married, the one who'd planned our European honeymoon with meticulous care. Had I missed something? Had I been so focused on our future, paying off the house, climbing the ladder at work, that I'd neglected her? The thought gnawed at me, but I pushed it aside. She'd chosen this path, not me. As weeks turned into a month, I realized I was at a crossroads. I could keep waiting for Emily to come to her senses, to see the wreckage she was causing, or I could move forward. Sarah's laughter, her quiet strength, made the choice clearer. One night, over beers with the hiking group, she leaned in and kissed me, her lips soft and unexpected. My heart raced, not with pain this time, but with possibility. Emily was out there, chasing thrills that would never fill the void she felt. I was done chasing her. I had to build something new, even if it scared me. The question was, how far was Emily willing to take this, and what would it cost us both? 2 months after Emily walked out, the silence between us was deafening. The Lincoln Park house, once filled with our laughter, now echoed with emptiness, a constant reminder of the life we'd lost. At 35, I was rebuilding myself, step by painful step, finding solace in the hiking trails and Sarah's warm smile. But Emily's absence left a void, and the rumors trickling through mutual friends stung worse than I'd expected. She was living her exploration to the fullest. Nights at downtown Chicago clubs with Lauren, her 36-year-old divorced friend who seemed to fuel this reckless spiral. I heard she was seeing multiple men, mostly married guys looking for a thrill. The worst came from a coworker who mentioned Emily's Miami getaway with a married colleague from her school, their sun-soaked selfies plastered online like a slap in my face. Each piece of news was a fresh cut, but I refused to let it define me. I was done waiting for her to come back. Sarah's quiet strength and our growing connection, coffee dates, lakefront walks, that unexpected kiss, reminded me I deserved more than betrayal. I couldn't keep living in limbo. The pain of Emily's choices lingered, but I had to take control. On a Monday morning, I called my lawyer, a friend who'd handled our home purchase. He referred me to a sharp divorce attorney, Lisa, who knew Illinois law inside out. Over coffee in her sleek downtown office, I laid it all bare. Emily's demand for an open marriage, her move to Lauren's apartment, her flings. Lisa's eyes narrowed as she jotted notes. "You want to move forward?" she asked. I nodded, my throat tight. I can't stay married to someone who doesn't respect our vows. She recommended a private investigator to gather evidence of Emily's affairs, not for revenge, but to protect myself. Illinois is a no-fault divorce state, but proof of infidelity could strengthen my case if things got messy. I didn't want to fight, I just wanted out cleanly. We agreed on a 50/50 asset split. Fair, given we'd built our life together from scratch. The house was nearly paid off, worth about $300,000, 0 cents. I didn't care about the money, I just wanted freedom from the pain. The investigators' reports came in within weeks, and they were worse than I'd imagined. Emily wasn't just dating, she was deep in a lifestyle of late-night hookups, mostly with married men who saw her as a fling. They'd party at Lauren's apartment after bar hopping, a revolving door of guys looking for fun, not commitment. The investigator even tracked her Miami trip, confirmed with photos of her and the co-worker, a married guy named Mark, lounging on a beach, his arm around her like she was his. My stomach churned, but I wasn't surprised. Emily's mother called me again, her voice shaking. "James, she's lost her mind. Miami with another man? What's wrong with her?" I kept my tone steady. She wanted to find herself, Mrs. Carter. I told her to leave if she pursued it. She did. Her mother begged me to talk sense into her, but I knew Emily was too far gone. "She thinks you'll take her back," Mrs. Carter said. I shook my head, though she couldn't see. "Not this time." Sarah was my rock through it all. Our hikes turned into weekly routines, her laughter a balm to my wounds. One night, over burgers after a 40-mile group ride, she asked, "You okay, James? You've been quiet." I told her about the investigator's findings, my voice low. "She's not the woman I married," I admitted. Sarah squeezed my hand. "You're not defined by her choices. You're building something new." Her words hit hard. I was falling for her, her compassion, her steadiness. We went kayaking again, then grabbed ice cream on the waterfront. When she kissed me under the stars, her lips soft and sure, I felt a spark of hope I hadn't thought possible. Sarah wasn't a rebound. She was a new beginning. I gave Lisa the green light to file the divorce papers. A week later, Emily showed up at my door, unannounced, clutching a thick brown envelope. Her key didn't work, because of the new locks, and she rang the bell, her face pale, eyes red. "James, what's this?" she demanded, holding up the divorce petition. "Why would you do this? I was coming back, maybe even this week. We could start that family we talked about." Her voice cracked, but I felt a strange calm. I led her inside, motioning to the kitchen table. "It's too late, Emily," I said, my voice steady. "I told you when you left. I won't share you. You chose this path." She sank into a chair, tears spilling. "I just needed to feel good about myself, James. To know I'm still desirable. I love you." Her words stung, but they didn't sway me. "Do you feel good now?" I asked, my tone sharp with sarcasm. "Validated? Have you explored enough? Because it looks like you have. I barely heard from you for 2 months. You didn't even call on my birthday, too busy with your boyfriend in Miami, I'd guess." Her face flushed and she looked away. "Your mom called me, Emily. She was worried when you didn't even reach out on Mother's Day. Were you too caught up in your fun?" She stammered. I went too far, okay, I'm sorry. I'm coming home today." I shook my head, my heart heavy but resolute. "No." I pointed to the envelope. "Read the whole thing. There's a court order at the back. You can't be within 500 feet of this house until the divorce is finalized. You're technically breaking it right now. I'm not making a fuss, but you need to leave." Her eyes widened, the reality sinking in. "This is still my house," she protested. "Not anymore," I said. "It's almost paid off. $150,000, 0 cents for my half. Buy me out or we sell and split it. Your call." I wasn't heartless, but I wasn't bending. She'd broken our vows, love, honor, fidelity, and I wouldn't pretend otherwise. Emily's world was unraveling, and it showed. Friends told me her school, a private charter, had warned her to keep her personal life quiet. Parents were talking, mothers especially, uneasy about her teaching their kids while she partied with married men. Then came the bombshell. She'd contracted an STD. Not life-threatening, but requiring a year of abstinence. Worse, she was pregnant. The father unknown but suspiciously resembling Mark, the married co-worker. Her carelessness, skipping birth control, drinking heavily, no condoms, had caught up with her. I felt a pang of pity, but it was overshadowed by the life I was rebuilding. As I walked Emily to the door, her tears didn't move me like they once would have. "I love you, James," she whispered. I locked the door behind her, the click final. The divorce loomed, but I was ready. Sarah's laughter, our shared hikes, and the promise of something real gave me strength. Emily's choices had cost her everything. Her marriage, her reputation, her future. Mine were leading me somewhere new. The door clicked shut behind Emily, and with it the final chapter of our marriage closed. A month after her tearful confrontation, we settled the divorce quietly, avoiding a courtroom battle. We sold our Lincoln Park house, splitting the proceeds evenly, $150,000, 0 cents each. At 35, I walked away with a clean slate. No bitterness, just a resolve to move forward. Emily's life, though, was unraveling faster than I'd expected. Friends whispered that her charter school had issued a formal warning: keep her personal life discreet or face consequences. Parents, especially mothers, were vocal about her affairs with married men, uneasy about her teaching their kids. Then came the devastating news. Emily's STD diagnosis required a year of abstinence, and her pregnancy, father unknown, though rumors pointed to Mark, the married co-worker, complicated everything. Her choices had built a house of cards, and it was collapsing. I didn't gloat. Part of me still ached for the woman I'd loved, the one I'd danced with at our wedding, dreaming of a family. But that Emily was gone, replaced by someone chasing fleeting thrills. I poured my energy into rebuilding. I bought a sleek condo downtown, closer to work, with a view of the Chicago River that felt like a fresh start. My firm promoted me to senior analyst, a raise that cushioned the transition. Most importantly, Sarah became my anchor. At 33, her compassion and steady presence grounded me. Our kayaking dates turned into weekends cooking together, her laughter filling my new home. One summer evening on a rooftop bar overlooking the city, I proposed. She said yes, her brown eyes sparkling, and we celebrated with cheap champagne and big dreams. By Christmas, we learned we were expecting a baby due the next summer. Sarah and I planned a simple wedding set for July, surrounded by our hiking group and her hospital colleagues. It wasn't the grand affair Emily and I had, but it felt real, grounded in trust. I'd lost 15 pounds from stress and hiking, but I'd gained something deeper: clarity. Sarah wasn't a replacement. She was a partner who saw me, scars and all. We'd sit on my balcony, her head on my shoulder, talking about our future. A nursery, maybe a dog. For the first time in months, I felt whole. Emily's story faded from my daily thoughts, but updates trickled in. She'd moved out of Lauren's apartment, renting a small place alone. Her reputation at school suffered. Some parents pulled their kids, citing her lifestyle. The pregnancy, a result of her carelessness, isolated her further. Lauren, her supposed mentor, was no help, too wrapped up in her own drama. Emily's mother called once, her voice heavy. "She's struggling, James." I wish she'd listened, I sympathized, but stayed firm. She made her choices, Mrs. Carter. I had to make mine. A year after Emily's bombshell, I stood in my condo, Sarah's arms around me, her engagement ring catching the light. The pain of betrayal had dulled, replaced by gratitude for a second chance. Emily's quest for validation had cost her everything: her marriage, her stability, her future. Mine had led to love, a new home, and a family on the way. As I looked out at the Chicago skyline, Sarah's laughter in the background, I knew I'd survived the wreck. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and with Sarah by my side, it was more than enough.